Hello everybody! Sunday night is roundtable night. Hope everyone's doing really well on this Sunday. We are indeed starting earlier Red Dragon to try and get through because we've had a lot of things going off right before we came online. I am joined as always by Sophie B.
Hello.
And Haverock is taking this week off because he is preparing to be the best man at a friend's wedding.
Ooh,
Yeah, so
yay.
they're going to get some soup preparation done there, so he's just taking the day off to go and get that all sorted. You join us today on the What If Round Table. I have to first of all say thank you so much for all the condolences sent my way, well, our way, due to, the passing of my dad. So, that's all really well appreciated, and I do thank you for all of the condolences there. It really is, just shows you guys care, and that's really nice. That's really nice to know. But aside from that, I know that Dad would want me to continue working because, he was working in this field himself. He wouldn't want me to be dilly-dallying. So, just to kind of continue. But as we continue, the What If Roundtable is a place where you can all suggest your what ifs. We always pay attention to the chat, even if you're not able to do a super chat, which helps support the channel and gets your what if seen by us. And we have a list. We are able to see it. Just so that means it just gets to show that everything is all tickety-boo, and it really does help support the channel in general. And Red Dragon, the thing is that the supporters are more patient when you realise, well, you don't quite always know that when you work for Team 4-Star. Let's just say that. The patience that we think is tested, let's just say. Alright, Papa Podo, you start off with, what if when you gather the Dragon Ball, Shenron's appears, but as a disembodied Lego set that you have to put together before you get to ask a wish? Master Roshi. Master Roshi isn't a master of martial arts. He's a master builder.
That idea is just the worst.
Oh man, can you imagine? Bulma and the lot, they get the Dragon Balls, but this disembodied head basically say, "You have summoned the eternal Lego set. You must complete me within 60 minutes in order to get your wish. And remember, some of my pieces may be missing. Good luck with that."
Oh, God. Well, that wouldn't be fair, but I mean, could you imagine if he was one of those Lego sets that had, like, the really small pieces, too? So, like, there's tons of really fine detail work that you have to do.
Yeah, right? Just kind of like, they have to go through all of those hoops and stuff like that. And then, but at the same time, it does seem like a Toriyama thing that would happen. That just that one last little hurdle, I can definitely see that happening. Brendan Little, in context of death battle, Beerus winning. "You see, Saiyan, that's how you win a death battle." Goku mocking.
"See, Saiyan, that's how you win the death battle. I'm Beerus."
Beerus wins. It's just like, oh, Brendan, that's a good line. Podo then asks, when is Vegeta coming back in the Gohan like Broly what if? His character arc was progressing just fine until D-Bag Guru got him written out of the story. Yes. Well, I'm pretty sure in part 6 he will end up coming back. But at the same time, I feel like with part 5 you just kind of need to establish the whole thing with Gohan starting to calm down a bit. But again, people seem to think I hate Vegeta. I don't hate Vegeta. Unfortunately, the thing is, like, he makes really bad choices early on. Let's just say that.
Well, and that's the thing, is that it's not that you hate Vegeta. It's that the narrative doesn't care for Vegeta. Because the thing is that Vegeta fell into some very, very specific circumstances that allowed for, like, his redemption or his character growth or his power growth, etc. Right? He fell into some very specific circumstances in the canon to allow that to happen. By changing that in the narrative, it really, really diminishes Vegeta's options in a lot of ways, which results in, if you keep him in character and you keep him responding to things, the way that he should, Vegeta's the kind of person who, honestly, he's not going to make very good decisions. And in a lot of alternate universes, he's going to wind up in, he's going to wind up worse off.
Absolutely. That's the thing. It's always about his choices. So that's just what some people need to know. All right.
Yeah, and exactly, Gobi. He was literally a nefarious villain when we met him.
Exactly. So some people have to remember that. Podo asks, have you ever watched PM Seymour's Humans Are Space Hawks videos? They're funny. I like to imagine Bulma and Krillin as the human and Jarko as the alien. I haven't actually seen that, but I'm aware of PM Seymour, so I need to go and check that out. So I'll try and give that a look in when I can. And Podo then asks about the real-time fan-dub game Sonic videos. Again, I don't really have. They're also hilarious, especially the rant parts. Oh, I'm pretty sure that will end up being happening. But yeah, Podo, again, I will put that on my bookmarks. Thank you. But then Podo comes in again as Papa Popodo. You will answer all of my questions, maggot. But some of these are so cringy. Excuse you? Nothing, sir. That's what I thought, maggot. As in Podo is because this goes on a thing about me asking, oh, what kind of Dragon Ball characters are my audience? And I said Podo was like Mr. Popo. So I guess he's getting into character there. Jesse Goff, what if Gohan and Piccolo Jr. grew up together having a Fox and the Hound relationship? Would require King Piccolo still being around Jr. being born later.
Aww.
Well, again, I'm sort of aware of like the whole thing with Fox and the Hound, but I feel like if Gohan and Piccolo Jr. grew up together, because you realize immediately from the start when Piccolo Jr. is born that he does not contain as much malice as his father. Like, it becomes quite clear. Because am I right in thinking that he actually spares those farmers that find him? He doesn't kill them? I think I remember that right. Because
I don't know, because
I remember something about a couple finding him, and he scares them off. He doesn't kill them. That would be his father would have done that. So I think you immediately tell that he is not as bad as King Piccolo. So there is that. Oh yeah, burns down their property. Yeah, that's it. So okay, he still burns down stuff, but yeah, he doesn't kill them. So yeah,
I'll make you destitute so that you die of hunger and homelessness instead of just killing you.
You're still alive. So progress? Question mark. But I feel like if they did grow up together, I feel like that there would be that kind of like relationship that would eventually happen. So I think it would end up being the case, as it were.
Yeah, I can kind of agree. If they grew up more like visually and contextually of an age in that sort of Fox and the Hound situation, I could see that being interesting.
Yeah.
It would actually require Gohan to have a real father figure in his life, since Piccolo no longer gets to substitute for Goku.
True. That is a fair point there.
And of course, a lot of people rip on Goku, but Goku's not as bad of a dad as everybody likes to make out. He's a lot more selfish in Super by the time. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Paparazzi then says, "What if Goku's pod crashed through Kami's lookout and Kami on its way to Gohan, Yamcha Kami in the process?" Oh, I'm gonna have to play the sound for that one once that starts warming up. Wow, we got sound on within like 10 minutes, so it's like, oh. Wait that for a second. There it is. Well, yeah, if Kami basically was like that, there'd be no Dragon Balls. So, you know, the 4-star Dragon Ball that would be at Goku's place would turn to stone. Bulma would then find out, oh, what happened to it? Then, or she wouldn't have found her 2-star ball in the first place. So, Dragon Ball wouldn't happen. And, but then again, so basically everything would be pretty boring until Raditz showed up. Pretty much.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is like you gotta realize that like a lot of plots simply wouldn't happen if the Dragon Balls weren't a thing, you know, because it's like the only reason Bulma and Goku meet is because of the Dragon Balls. The only reason that Pilaf meets the gang, you know, is going on his own little journey is because of the Dragon Balls. The only reason the Red Ribbon Army is a thing, you know, has become this privatized military force was for the sake of acquiring the Dragon Balls, you know, and King Piccolo wouldn't have even gotten freed from that rice cooker if not for the Pilaf gang, And the only reason they did that was because of the Dragon Balls. And ultimately, yeah, it wouldn't matter because Kami's dead, Piccolo's dead. I mean, pretty much everybody winds up stuck in stasis until Raditz shows up. At which point, it's like nobody's prepared. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is definitely true. And, also just like shout out to Yosuke Nakamura. I think someone's writing in kanji there, so hello there in general, speaking for someone from Japan. So Paparazzi then asks again, what if Raditz was the wandering samurai and Yamcha Kakarot's older brother? Oh, so basically if Raditz had no familial connection to Goku, and Yamcha being Goku's older brother.
Like cool personality-wise and stuff like that?
As a bigger brother figure, Yamcha's awesome. Like, you're having that cool bigger brother. You basically get Gurren Lagann.
Well, and here's the thing: is it's like you have to think about like, okay, well, if you're gonna character swap them, right? That means that their personalities have to remain somewhat intact. So you wind up with this sort of cocky, doesn't like people character in Raditz as the desert bandit, right? And then you wind up with this sort of also cocky, but in a different way, but also like really wants a girlfriend Saiyan in Yamcha. So like I could totally picture Yamcha, older brother Saiyan Yamcha showing up at Master Roshi's island and deciding, wait, I came here to pick up my younger brother, but there's a really cute girl here, and that makes me nervous, and I kind of want to ask her on a date, but I've got other stuff going on. Everything needs to be put on hold until I can ask this girl out.
Well, that's the classic Toriyama subversion there. You got to give that. Alright, Podo, what if when they were grown up, Daikon and Muli invite Raunch to go on a sightseeing tour of Alabama with them? Because nothing weird happens in Alabama. Insert obvious Alabama joke here. Oh, I don't want to be cruel to Alabamians because, like, I've been there a few times at Comic-Con. I found it perfectly, absolutely fine. And yeah, honestly, it'd be nice for the brothers to actually show respect to their bigger sister. I imagine, as in like, even quite homely, going on holiday together. That'd be kind of neat, an Alabama getaway, as they might say. Alright, Paparazzi. What if Ultra Instinct allowed body control like the Pillar Men? As in, like, to people to control people's bodies? I'm guessing.
I have no idea, because I still haven't watched JoJo, so...
No, it's alright. But I'm assuming if it's body control, basically Ultra Instinct would basically just mean that you could control people like a puppet, or at least be able to kind of, like, control people in that sense. I guess it would be something pretty different, and there'd be that, more people going, holy moly, is that a JoJo reference? Oh, twist and distort their own bodies. Ah, right. As an ultra... Oh, well, I guess it means to add to their lucidity. Like, Goku having that, like, instinctive reaction and moving basically can contort himself into different poses and stuff like that. That would explain why you can do the JoJo pose as a Pillarman, I guess. Firebrand, what if Goku was a trickster, always fighting dirty and using his enemies' weaknesses against them, like Loki or the original Sun Wukong? Well, I feel like if Goku had never learnt martial arts with Master Roshi, I think he would have ended up doing so. It was just that with Roshi teaching Goku and Krillin discipline, it was like, I feel like there'd be that kind of like critical thing. He would have ended up becoming a trickster, like using his tail as a helicopter and all that stuff. He would certainly have that kind of advantage, but again, you'd have to have either Master Roshi not teaching them discipline, or him trying to teach them discipline, but then Goku choosing to ignore it. It's all about that, really. So, I guess that'll be the case. Okay, Podo again. What's Frieza and Kuriza's reaction if someone tells him that people ship Frieza and Yamcha because that time Frieza called him smart and handsome?
God, I can imagine Kuriza like saying, well, I do appreciate that the long-haired human does have some kind of attractive desire. I rather find him in my father's situation rather incompatible.
As in, like, he'd be like happy for them or happy for that, but I think he would just be like, well, I don't think it would actually work, I'm afraid. But I think maybe with Frieza, I think he would say, I said it that one time. Doesn't necessarily mean it's always true. And Yamcha's like, well, you know, well, it's nice to know that I'm cared about. So, like, there'd be just that blushing attitude.
Sad boy Yamcha. At least somebody thinks I'm handsome.
Somebody cares. Okay, Jesse Goff. He's got 2. What if Gero raised Cell instead of the computer? Like, I feel like you get like an Android 13 sort of thing. Like with Cell having Gero's supercomputer or some kind of thing inside of him controlling him what to do. He basically would not be as sassy or as autonomous. He'd basically have someone controlling him. And then the second one, what if Gero time traveled to warn the Z Fighters of Psychotic 17 and 18? So basically he goes back in time telling him, so, wait, no, the things that I sent to kill you, don't let them kill you. It would be just one of those parrot. I think as the Colonel will go, Snake, you've created a time paradox. As in, like, you get a time paradox there, but I think it'd be sort of meta in a way. Or basically, you know, Gero basically took the remote. Or maybe better, don't make a remote.
Also, the remote design is so clearly like
obvious.
Obvious, yeah, exactly. It's one of the most like absurdly cartoonishly obvious designs. It's like, if you're gonna make something like that, I mean, heck, we've even seen more subtle remotes in the previous sagas, like in the Saiyan saga, where we had the pocket calculator sized remote controls for the Saiyan pods. It's like, make something a little less obvious than big box with big button and antenna on it.
Right? Right? Alright, Andres Morero. What if ancient Tuffle colonists landed on Earth and mingled with the native merfolk, making modern DB mermaids Tuffle descendants? Well, that'd be sort of interesting. You get some sort of, like, Atlantis town. Like, you basically could get Aquaman in Dragon Ball. And hey, like, inspirations to the DC universe in Dragon Ball, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if there be, like, Toriyama comes up with, says, Aquasan. It's like, I'm fighting Aquasan. And
oh my god.
Like, you know, summoning whales and stuff. Because if you can have Superman in Dr. Slump, you can have Aquasan. You know that Toriyama would do it if he did it. But basically, I suppose really you'd have technology, you'd get Atlantis in the Dragon World and that stuff.
Right. World building and lore.
Yes. Photo again. What if Teen Kuriza dates Teen Bulla? I imagine probably would be out of curiosity. Like, it would be out of curiosity. And I feel like
it would be Bulla's rebellious phase where she wants to make her dad mad. So what does she do? She dates the son of her dad's archenemy.
And it's like, it's not a fake dad. Kuriza just gets me, you know? I'm sorry, Mr. Angry Monkey. I had no choice in the matter. Your daughter is very forceful. Please don't be angry at me.
If this is about pissing Dad off, why don't you just date Goten?
And Vegeta says, I don't know what to be more angry about. My daughter dating the son of Frieza, or the son of Frieza being utterly spineless. If you're going to date my daughter, at least have the conviction to admit it. It would be like that. Okay, Sergeant 2X41. What if the Frieza Force was a response to a rising Saiyan threat rather than an evil tyrannical empire? Oh, if that were the case, Frieza would easily use it as a propaganda movement to try and get even more support. Because, yeah, he would easily spin the Saiyans as something that needs to be stopped. And he could get any kind of world government to kind of acquiesce at his own benevolence. Like, you just tell them, I want you to do this, this, and me, for the sake of getting rid of the Saiyans. Yes. Not laying down your arms, that means I can sweep in later and pick up the pieces. Something like that. Okay, Andres Morero again. In your Trunks stuck in the past, what if time rectifies itself by slowly turning Trunks into Princess Trunks to prevent him from Bulma's advances?
Oh no!
Oh, so basically, like, somehow what he's done has made it so that means instead of being a boy, Trunks is a girl. Then basically you get time. Well, to be honest, time in Dragon Ball is weird like that. But I feel like
it would only work.
Bulma would just think that that was just an excuse to try and get him to not get. You know.
Go ahead.
Now, I feel like in the Toriyama sense, he suddenly becomes Princess Trunks. Tries to say, "I'm not like that, Bulma," and Bulma just thinks, "Don't you try and put on a costume and say that you're not." Say that you're a girl. I know you're faking it. Grabs it. Like, I go,
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Here's Masako's desire. Here's Masako's desire for lemony humor again, guys.
No. This would be a Toriyama thing. Dragon Ball circa 1988. You know that. Come on.
It's true. No. We gotta remember the stuff that was cut out of the anime that was present in the manga when it comes to Goku learning the difference between guys and girls.
Exactly. So you know that would happen
it's
if this
a similar
is Toriyama
situation.
in the late 80s. So
yeah,
it'd be like that. Guardian Tree. What if after the Universe 6 tournament, the Super Dragon Balls made a replica of Universe 7 and Universe 6, including the Z Fighters? Leads to Universe 6 and 7 teaming up for the Tournament of Power. Doppelganger fusions. I don't know how that would work. You basically would just get a really strong version of that character, but even if you wanted to try and do like doppelgangers and stuff, there would be subtle differences. Because all the different races and all the different kind of things going on in all of those worlds and universes, it wouldn't really work. Like, you couldn't get exact copies. And then there'd be kind of like that tussle about who's going to be like, in terms of who's being in charge of the actual fusion. So there's always that.
Mm-hmm.
God of Legos. What if instead of taking the exploding cell off Earth, Goku used the time before the explosion to take everyone he could off the planet? Well, I feel like that wouldn't really make much difference because Cell would still blow up. He doesn't need to breathe because of Frieza's DNA, because you know that Toriyama would write that into the story. He would then get the Zenkai, he would then find where they were and instant transmit to them. So really, it doesn't make that much of a difference in that sense.
Well, it would. It's the kind of solution that you'd see in an anime that's different from shonen, right?
Yeah.
If it was kind of a more drama, or even seinen kind of anime, like you could use this as a launching point for like a longer form story of like Goku saves as many people as he can by using instant transmission or something like technique that slows down time or something like that to save as many people as possible and get them all on board like a colony ship over at Capsule Corp. And you want and then he transports that ship to like the first planet that he could think of. At which point it becomes a story kind of like a Battlestar Galactica sort of situation where the remaining humans from Earth are now looking for a new planet to colonize, to call home or whatever. But there's always the looming threat that Cell might find them someday, you know, and they don't really realize it.
Yeah, that's true. I like the Galactica reference. So that definitely is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, certainly.
But it's definitely not a typical like shonen storyline. Because at that point it becomes very much more a sort of a dramatic space opera sort of situation.
Yeah, no, exactly. Dragon letting us know starting September he'll only be here bi-weekly. Okay, mate, thank you very much for letting us know. And then he comes back again with a what if. What if Goku found Bardock and Hiffle and trained with him and not North Kai? No Kaioken, but stronger base for Goku overall, and maybe parental revival.
Well, here's the problem. First things first is Bardock doesn't have a body in Hiffle, right? You got to remember that, like in the filler with like the Ginyu Force and stuff like that, that was all non-canon in part because like the Ginyu Force got to keep their bodies, but it was established that you only get to keep your body if you've performed heroic deeds, right?
Yes.
And if you wind up in Hiffle, you're not keeping your body.
No.
So Bardock already wouldn't be able to train with Goku because he would just be one of those spirit clouds. And then second of all, Goku wouldn't recognize him, and like as not, he probably wouldn't even realize with enough like conscious thought that Goku was even there, because as we kind of see, every one of the like spirits, apart from like in the Buu saga, right? And that's again a Toriyama inconsistency with how the afterlife works. The spirits kind of just seem to go about what they're supposed to do in heaven or Hiffle, just like automatically, almost assembly line style. You know, you don't see them interacting, and as far as we know, like they may not even be able to communicate with the people on the other side that got to keep their bodies.
Yeah.
So while I know that everybody really, really wants that Bardock and Goku interaction, it's there's really not a way to make it happen.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Monkey Bonobo Gorilla. What if Masako can transform into the mighty Ozaru? So, oh yes, so people can then experience the might of my giant monkey form. Again, one of the best jokes from DBZ.
Yes.
But, basically, it would solve a lot of problems, but then again, I feel like it would also... I mean, come on. People transform into giant monkey. I'd be basically trying to find dinosaurs. Or trying to, like, fight mighty animals. Or, you know, being a kaiju. I'm pretty sure that there'd be a lot, like... You know, there'd be a lot of people wanting to have, like, big kaiju fights if people could turn into Ozaru. You just meet down the local Ozaru club, and you have giant monkey fights. You know, you just clear a space, and you just, like, fulfill all your Godzilla dreams and desires. Red Dragon. What if Vegeta agreed to fuse Gogeta against Beerus? Well, if they did fuse, I feel like they would give Beerus a decent fight, but if we're in the Battle of Gods, you'd have Super Saiyan 2 Gogeta. It wouldn't be enough to beat Beerus, but it would at least be able enough to do maybe just as much damage as Super Saiyan God Goku.
Well, here's the thing, too. You gotta consider something as well. And this is something that I always thought was funny, but it's kind of a rule of, like, it's kind of like a narrative rule of thumb, not to overuse something, but like, they present the Super Saiyan God ritual. They never once say that it couldn't be used on the other Saiyans as well, right? They never once say that it's like a one-time ritual, that it drains too much energy to use it in multiple times in quick succession. So, like, theoretically speaking, they could do the Super Saiyan God ritual on Goku and have him achieve the power of Super Saiyan God.
Right.
And then immediately afterwards do the same ritual to Vegeta. They both have the power of Super Saiyan God, and then they fuse into Gogeta. At which point you'd wind up with a Super Saiyan God Gogeta. So, or you could even have them fuse and then do the ritual, right? Because although in that case, I don't know how well Vegeta would count as Vegeta or Goku would count as two Saiyans in the ritual when they're fused into one. Anyway, point being, you could probably finagle it to where a Super Saiyan God Gogeta faces off against Beerus. But here's the real thing: is it's like Beerus's power is so extreme, especially by comparison to theirs at that specific point, that even with the infusion of extra like energy from the god form, I really don't think that Gogeta is going to stand up to Beerus all that much. I think it would be a more intense fight for Beerus, but in the end, I really don't think he'd be straining himself, you know. I just think it would just be one more reason why Beerus and Whis would want to train both of them.
Right, true. Alright, Viper Phoenix. What if Cell, since he has part of Goku in him, got bored with the Cell games like Goku did with Frieza and decided to just leave? Okay, so say for example the Goku in him did have that happen, like the Goku wasn't toned down. So basically, if Cell was fighting Goku and he ended up getting bored, or even like waiting for the Cell games, like so he's waiting for the Cell game, it takes 10 days. he gets bored. I can imagine him just, like, going, like, trying to find something else to do. Like, he wouldn't have been standing there in one place the entire time. Like, he'd go off on adventures in the galaxy for a bit, and then he'd come back, he'd fight them. And, okay, if Goku was the dominant, like, genetic trait in him, he wouldn't blow up the planet. He basically would just leave when nobody could beat him. It's like, you know, are you done yet? Because I'm starting to get bored. You're boring me. So, yeah, he could just leave. As in, like, I'm done. I'm done fighting you. I'm bored. So if he just left, I imagine, like, the Dragon team would be like, they would take it, they'd lick their wounds, then they would try and fight him again once he was slightly stronger. So, I think that would happen. And then Viper again, what if during one of the Frieza stories you have going on, he decided to retire and built a planet-sized winery like Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek? I mean, honestly, that's not the most, like, ludicrous thing that could happen with Frieza. So I feel like, you know, maybe in the Frieza Turn Good, like, ultimately, he creates a space winery. Like, I can imagine Kit and Shilai basically say, you know, getting sick and tired of him complaining about the lack of good wine. And they say, why don't you just go and build a winery yourself? And Frieza go, you know what? I might actually do that. So,
as far as retirement go, running a vineyard is
not a
an
bad
inspired idea.
Yes. I would say it is a rather great idea.
Oh, God, Moss! Ow! Ow!
Oh, droider boy! Enough with the puns there, droider boy!
Oh.
Viper again. What if Garlic tried to imitate Kami when he split King Piccolo from him, did the same, but instead of splitting good and evil, cast away his humanity, King Pilaf, insert Colonel Dioda reference. So basically, Garlic Jr., like, so he just splits, basically, King Pilaf, because it's King Pilaf and Garlic Jr. So I guess, really, it would just mean that Pilaf has more power, or has some kind of means to be the good guy, and you could have him in movie 1, he finds out about his past, and then Pilaf becomes intrinsic into stopping Garlic Jr. That wouldn't be the worst of it. That wouldn't be the worst idea. That's not bad, actually. Gobi, what if Goku landed in the mountains near Jingle Village and was raised by the villagers of Dr. Flap? I can imagine that Flap would be, like, find him quite curious. Like, he would realize that he was an alien and study him, but nowhere near as bad or as, like, intrusive as Dr. Gero would. So I feel like Dr. Flap would be some sort of, like, uncle figure. You basically would just have Astro Boy, but in the snowy village. And, like, Sinnoh would be Goku's best friend. So I think you just get that, really. Red Dragon, what if Sergeant Gold, basically, this is in the What If Capture Corp one, takes a hike in the 4939 ED and meets Goku early, maybe even Gohan, depending on when. Could Gold potentially recruit Goku for the Red Ribbon Army? Well, I feel like if they found Goku as a young boy, I feel like Gold would try and be a bit more reasonable, like, try and state his case more, like, instead of trying to be all, like, you know, dictatorial as he was in the What If. But if he found Gohan, I imagine he would probably try and pay Gohan to, like, take the boy off of him. But I feel like then Gohan would meet a sticky end, as it were.
Here's an interesting scenario, and it only really kind of hit me recently. But we've been kind of working from the assumption, in part because of the way, like, the scans worked with, like, Major Metallotron and stuff like that, that, like, everyone's immediate assumption would be that Goku was an alien. But then I remembered that this is a world where anthropomorphic animal creatures exist. It's far more likely for a human who sees Goku to think that he's more like, were your parents, like, was your mom or dad a human and your other parent an anthropomorphic animal person? Like, I came to this realization that, like, alien is not the first thing that most people would probably think of. They'd probably think he was a hybrid. And so if you work it in from a certain perspective, like if he was to land at Capsule Corp, right? Obviously, then they know he's an alien. If he was to land at the Red Ribbon Army, obviously, then they know he's an alien. But in a scenario like this, where Gold finds Gohan and him out in the forest or something like that, I think the concept of recruiting him would be a different scenario, because then they're working from the idea that like, oh, this is just some wild kid from the boonies who probably had parents who were in an illicit relationship with illicit interspecies relationship with each other, you know. So it works a little differently. So that might actually be some food for thought, Moss, as far as giving people what they want with a Red Ribbon Goku concept.
Fair point. Alright, Gobi. On Saiyans being like reptile-like human forms, what if they transformed into giant Komodo dragons? Better yet, Godzillas or Uzilla? Well, that would be even better. Like, can you imagine?
Uzilla!
Yeah, basically, you know, you'd have giant Komodo dragons. Like, come on. Dragons, giant ones of that? That'd be awesome. Like, if you somehow got in, like the What If verse, you have an Uzilla against an Uzaru. Godzilla versus a great ape. I mean, I'd pay to see that.
Oh, dude! And if it was like their transformation was a Godzilla-like transformation instead of a great ape, or even if it was a great ape, you could wind up with the Kaiju battle in like the Shadow Dragon arc. Because like, think about it. Think about like if all of 7 of the Shadow Dragons fused into one, and instead of just being like a slightly different Omega Shinron, right? Instead of being a slightly different Omega Shinron, instead they become this huge like Kaiju dark dragon monster, and then the Saiyan characters have to go Ozaru, or in this case like Ozilla, you know, in order to fight them. So you get this huge Kaiju battle.
That would be really cool to see. It probably would redeem GT in a way. Viper. What if Piano, King Piccolo's son, aide from Dragon Ball, managed to survive King Piccolo's demise and was taken in by Kami as a student? He could have lived with Kami and Popo and maybe changed ways, plus meet his little bro Piccolo also. I mean, yeah, that is a fair point, because that could easily happen. Like, I can imagine Piano being one of those groveling people that would not try and pull anything stupid and go against Kami, just trying to find some sanctuary. And I feel like Kami would be merciful enough to at least give him a chance. And then maybe Piano might actually be somewhat, you know, redeemable. And then with Piccolo, you feel like there'd be that connection to his dad in a way. So, you know, Piano would be the bigger brother technically of Piccolo. So that'd be a nice little kind of connection to Dragon Ball's past. Red Dragon, how many rules of Popo's training are there in total? As far as I know, there's probably like 7 rules of Popo's training. I don't know them all, but I think there's at least 7. Gobi, what if Gohan's conferences were really just cover-ups for when he and Videl are having a lemony, saucy day? And that's why he's so enthused over conferences. Oh, man. Oh, sorry I'm late, everyone. Today's conference just went on for hours. Like the
why are you looking so haggard, Gohan? And why
I'm sorry, but there was such a big debate going on. It's just like a mass debate right in the middle of the conference hall. It was just like, I don't know. It was like 5 times it happened. It was just like, you know, it got really
Your
messy.
pants are on backwards.
Well, the whole conversation was backwards in of itself. I felt like, I don't know. Oh. Red Dragon. Alright, on behalf of Augustus. Great Namek Disaster or Shadow Dragon's connection? Oh, okay. Oh, that's a good point, actually. Like, the Great Namekian Disaster that almost wiped out the Namekians may have been their Shadow Dragons. Oh, yes, of course, because there might have been evil Namekians, like with Lord Slug. So, you know, that could be a really good connection. That's not a bad idea, Red Dragon. Like, you know, they had
not a bad idea at all.
And that sort of, like, purged the evil Namekians to either leave the planet or got rid of them entirely. And what was left were Namekians that were truly benevolent. That'd be
well, and for all you know, there could have wound up being some kind of, like, crazy dragon war, you know, where the good Dragon Clan, like the members of the more like pure-hearted, good-natured Dragon Clans were actively like utilizing their powers and their Dragon Balls and thus like their dragon, their Shinron or Purunga or whatever it was, against the the evil-oriented, more evil-aligned Dragon Clan members who had their own Shadow Dragon version of like Purunga or whatever. And so you have this massive war, and in the end, all of the Namekians who were using their magics and powers for evil wound up wiped out. But like it severely reduced the population of Namek, which is why there's only like 7 villages.
Yes, and oh, by the way, it was Augustus' idea. Sorry about that, but Augustus, good idea. Viper, before when I asked about what if humans were descended from Surus, the lighter gravity could have made them taller. Would explain how they could breed with Saiyans. Ah, okay. Yes, because one of the anime that I think is really underrated, Planets. The garbage dumpers of the Earth's upper atmosphere.
Oh gosh!
Like on the moon, basically there are children born on the moon. On the average, are like 7 feet tall, but they can never go to Earth because they'd be crushed. And I think one of the kids is actually voiced by Kari from Digimon, which is interesting to hear, which was neat. But
like how weird it is to hear Kari's voice actress as Haru in Beastars.
That was like, oh no. Oh no!
I was like, my childhood is very confused right now.
Don't worry though, she can take it apparently.
Oh god.
Right. Auragulus, thank you very much for becoming a member, a Master Love member even, thank you. Okay, Paparaja. What if Chaozu was a super elite and Jaco's Tien's sidekick? Okay, so Chaozu was a Galactic Patrol super elite, and Jaco was Ten Shinhan's whiny sidekick. Like, you know, Ten Shinhan felt bad for Jaco one day. He had these telekinetic powers, like, he'd be this whiny guy, but Ten Shinhan felt bad for him that one time, saved his life, and then Jaco feels obliged to be his sidekick. Well, you saved my life, so I better follow you to the ends of the earth, I guess. Oh, I'd rather that you didn't, but... Well, sorry, Ten Shinhan, but the rules of the Crane School say that you have to. It's like, but we're not in the Crane School anymore. I know, but I still believe my whole things. And then Chaozu, just being the super elite, would actually take his job seriously, I feel.
And Chaozu, it would be even funnier too if Chaozu like still had all of his special abilities. So he's still like this telekinetic flying Jiangshi sort of character, whereas Jaco's still just this sort of nothing more, kind of just an alien version of Hercule, essentially, totally fraudulent and not all that great at his job. So like he acts like he's an awesome martial artist from a world-renowned school, but it's like he didn't even complete the training courses.
Like, just Ten Shinhan bad for him. Like, you know, just feels like he has to, like, somebody's got to look out for him, because otherwise he's just going to end up, like, causing himself a lot of trouble. I could totally see that happen. I could totally see it happen. Alright guys, we're gonna like do the cutoff in 5 minutes, so if you want to get your super chats in, you got 5 minutes. Okay. Papa Meta. Hey Moscow and crew, here's a nice concept. What if the Tree of Might was actually stolen from the Kaiju world of home world of Universe 7? Ooh. I mean, this would be like, this could be a cautionary tale that Shin would say to any, like, you know, people say, the last time that a Shinjin came down and interfered with people on the mortal realm, the Tree of Might was a thing. Like, these plants actually then got into the wrong hands, and it became the Tree of Might.
It would be intriguing, because you have to consider, right? Like, if Kai and Makai are born from a tree, well, a tree is a tree, and tree saplings can still can potentially take root. And is that possibly one method that the Kais have to strictly regulate so that they're maintains the balance, that there can only be one tree of Kai, there can only be one tree of Makai. And the Tree of Might became a thing because Makai was trying to gain more influence in the mortal world by basically sneaking out a sapling, and then the people who acquired the Tree of Might, in this case like we'll just say theoretically, like for sake of simplicity, Turles's group or whatever acquired the seedlings and stuff like that, the seeds for these trees, and like they know that it gives them power, but in truth, if a tree of might was allowed to fully bloom, right, like the fruit wasn't eaten and was allowed to fully bloom, like demons would spawn from it, Makai would spawn from it, because it's the Makai trying to increase their numbers.
Right. Yeah, no, that's very true. That's a good idea. But again, tree of might in there, not a bad idea. Paparazzo, what if King Piccolo made a regular egg to be his heir as soon as he awoke, and Piccolo had an older brother? That could be interesting, like as like an insurance policy. And I feel like maybe if it wouldn't be as rushed, you'd have Piccolo Jr. and then Piccolo Jr. the second or something like that. So I feel like if that were the case, then that could actually mean there'd be that rivalry about who was the true heir of King Piccolo.
Well, and you have to kind of ask yourself the question of would Piccolo's theoretical older brother, right?
Yeah.
How normal would he come out of his egg? Because like there's an implication that because like the goal was a form of sort of like rebirth, reincarnation, when King Piccolo made Ma Jr.'s egg, that he became the most normal, he was born as a normal Namekian because of that, whereas all of the other children that King Piccolo birthed were mutants. Like quote unquote technically deformed. They were mutants. They were what was the term that they used for were irradiated or something?
Something like that.
But they were mutated, right? Because of some reason, right? So like, what if you had this sort of close to Namekian, but not quite, still mutated in some small ways character, right? And he feels he's the true heir, and he's evil or whatever. But then you've got this actual like looks like a Namekian character, like Ma Jr. actually turns out to be, and he's the one who goes through his redemption arc. I think it would be interesting just because we might get a little bit more narrative interaction for Piccolo. He kind of loses a lot of his purpose in the story post Namek arc. And I mean, even then he was fairly minor. It was the other Namekians that were important, but it would give him more little story beats to kind of do. Exploring more characters than just the Saiyans is always a positive in my book.
Oh yeah, of course. Definitely. Okay, let's see, when's the next one? Red Dragon, what if Mjolnir fell into the Dragon World instead of the MCU? Well, okay, so basically if Mjolnir fell into the Dragon World, I can imagine it'd be like this interesting relic that Master Roshi would say about like only the worthiest of defenders of Earth would be able to wield Mjolnir. Like, I feel like Goku would be the only one who could, like, get close to actually wielding it. But it'd be really, really interesting that it's only until the end of Z or GT, like, anyone can actually use it. It's just one of those things that Goku keeps striving for, year after year after year, trying to lift it, but never being able to do so. And only...
go ahead. I'm not going to interrupt. I'll let you finish your thought.
I feel like it'd be a nice little kind of thing that goes out through the entire story, and only at the end, the last shot you see, is Goku picking up and being able to use it.
See, and I disagree with that concept, because personally, I don't think Goku's worthy. I don't think Goku's worthy of Mjolnir, not in the slightest. I think that if anybody used Mjolnir, it would be Gohan. And I think that if Mjolnir was going to be there, a sort of Chekhov's hammer, if you will, I think the time for him to wield Mjolnir, because the narrative would get changed up quite a lot, but I think that the time for wielding Mjolnir would need to be in a situation like, for example, like against Cell or something like that, right?
Right.
I don't think Goku would be worthy of it. And I think that the only one who really has a heroic enough heart, a good enough heart in that regard, without the selfishness that goes with it, without the other stuff, I think that Gohan would be the Thor analog in that case. Regardless of what time it happens in the narrative, it would have to be Gohan who uses the hammer.
Okay. No, that's fair. That is fair. That's very true. Okay. Now that's a nice alternative as well, definitely. All right, everybody. Okay, I'm going to say now that the super chat submissions are now closed. Thank you so much for all of your contributions there. If we do have time for more, we'll let you know. But for now, this is just like hold your fire for the moment. Okay. Gobi was very cheeky in there last minute. Okay, Viper Phoenix, a monkey and slug jingle. One's a Namek, the other are Saiyans. Just come and find your way in. Describe a mug at the monkey and slug. So it's like Goku and Slug, they own a bar.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Okay, there you go, Viper. There you go. You got yourself a song. Red Dragon. What if Gohan was chosen to become Captain Marvel Shazam? Again, I can imagine this potentially happening. Like, the rage boosts are brought on by him shouting Shazam. Like, you know, he then becomes this raging Hulk. Yeah, just having that kind of, like, disparity and stuff. So, again. And, incidentally, the Shazam movie was actually pretty good. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed that movie. That was pretty good.
I didn't see it, mostly just because I didn't get around to it. I had considered seeing it because I actually really like Shazam / Captain Marvel, whatever you wanna call them, and I really like it. Gohan's a great choice for that. Honestly, if I was going to do it, I'd want to retool the narrative just a little bit, right? I'd want to retool the narrative of the series just a little bit to put it a little bit more in line with like a Western comic book setup, sort of like an MHA, or even more along the lines of Tournament Shonen, you know, like History's Strongest Disciple Kenichi. So you have young Gohan, right? You have the young Gohan, but then his adult form would need to be something suitably like impressive. So it couldn't just be an adult version of Gohan, right? Instead, what you have is you have young Gohan, and when he goes Shazam, he looks like Broly. and he still has Gohan's personality. So he's still this kind-hearted soft boy, but he's got all of the power, the insane power of Broly, you know?
Oh, that'd be pretty nuts, I've got to admit. That would be pretty nuts, I will say. But hey, nuts and trackable, that'd be a lot of fun. Okay. Paparazzo. Whenever I ask about Krillin and Tenshin on swapping places, you talk about Agent 23.5. But I want your opinions on Goku and Tien training under Roshi. Oh, I feel like if they were training together, like Goku and Tien under Roshi, I feel like Tien would take it very seriously, because in the what if Goku defeated Roshi thing, I feel like Tenshin Han would take things seriously, and I think Roshi would be really impressed with his commitment to martial arts. And as a result, I feel like that would make Tenshin Han and Goku equals for much longer in the story. So
yeah, if they were joint, you know, mutual training partners under Roshi, I think honestly, like, Tenshin Han's drive has always been like, as far as the human characters go, right? Tenshin Han's always been the one that's most devoted to martial arts. He's always been the one whose drive has been the most centered on becoming a better person and becoming a better martial artist, right? So if he was to take training under Roshi, because, you know, a lot of the reason why he starts to kind of lose a little bit of steam and stuff like that is because, you know, he abandons the Crane School, because the Crane School is full of evil people, you know, and people like Tao Pai Pai. And so if he instead wound up training under Roshi alongside Goku, I definitely agree. I think he would last a lot longer as one of Goku's like more equal characters, friends.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Okay, next one, Paparazzi says, what if the Wolfang Fist generated Blutz waves? Well, the thing is, though, with Blutz waves, the Wolfang
because of the full moon.
Oh. Well, I feel like the Blutz waves, I feel like it would actually maybe strengthen Saiyans, but it wouldn't be enough to turn them into great apes. But I feel like it would certainly be enough to at least give them a power boost. So it would at least basically, it'd almost be like Yamcha, it's the Wolfang Fist is weak against Saiyans, incidentally. So it'd be like, oops, that would be a bit of something that he couldn't use, that power. Oh great, the only powerful technique that Yamcha has, and he can't use it unless it's the Spirit Ball. Okay, Papa. Also, what if from the Tree of Might being grown in the mortal realm led to the birth of the race of Hera, a mix between Kai and mortal? Ooh, okay.
That would be an interesting origin for the Herons.
Yeah, so maybe like the Tree of Might was planted on planet Hera, but instead of it spawned these creatures, like, and they then evolved into what you see Bojack and his crew about. That could be a different twist. Like, the Tree
interesting also, because it would actually give the Kais some purpose in the story and something to do. Actually make Shin useful, please.
Right, yeah. No, absolutely.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I think we can both agree on that, certainly. Papa Archer says, I'm so sorry about your loss. How are you doing, Mars? Yeah, actually, I'm doing alright. It's been about 3 weeks since it happened, and, you know, we've had the funeral. Everything's been alright. I'm going to actually do a full video about this and just talk about Dad and stuff. But, yeah, we'll definitely talk about that and stuff, and it probably won't be monetized, but I'll see, because I know Dad would want me to, you know, do what I do, but I don't know whether that'd be right or not. But either way, I do want to, like, talk about him in the future, certainly. But I'm doing alright, Pop. Thank you. And then Papa Roger comes in again with, what if the Tree of Might gave birth to Makaioshin? Oh, of course, it was, like, again, another thing that the Tree of Might, it basically was the conduit to make the Dark Demon Realm. Well, the Super Dragon Ball Heroes writers would be very appreciative of your scenario there. So, I feel like it would just have that thing about, oh, the Tree of Might was this negative tree that was, like, against the opposite of the Shinjin tree. So, again, that could be really, really interesting in having that dichotomy and that opposite stuff. So, Pod, good idea again. You're very on fire with the Tree of Might stuff. You all are, actually. And then Viper comes in again. Do you think Gohan would watch Reading Rainbow as a kid? Oh, yeah, certainly.
Yes.
She would have plonked that boy in front of it at the age of 2. And even then, oh, that's light entertainment for Gohan at the age of 2. Oh, it's like I had Reading Rainbow being played while he was still in the womb. That was instead of Mozart.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
I'll see you all next time. Yeah, just like Gohan, yeah, even as an adult, he's going like, just constantly, casually just humming the theme. Just like that. Auto Johnny, inspired by Twitter artist Taku, what if there were no aliens and the Saiyans were magic? Well, if Haverock were here, he would definitely be welcome to the idea of more magic in Dragon Ball, let's just say that. And
same.
It'd be humans versus magic, so you'd need to have some kind of conduit in being able to, like, have the humans being able to adapt to magic. So, yeah, Goku was the hidden magician that the Earthlings had no idea about, which means that, yeah, you'd have more martial arts going on, as it were. But again, more magic in there, please. Alright. Papa just says, what if Goku and Chi-Chi also had 2 daughters, one born in the year waiting for the Saiyans, the other 9 months to the day after Goku returned from space? Well, if there'd be 3 kids, it'd be basically something similar to what we did in the What If FAQ of, basically, if what if Chi-Chi and Goku had, like, more children. There'd be more competition, and if it were daughters especially, there'd be a much more bigger rift between Goku and Chi-Chi about what would happen with them. So, again, it could split the family apart, or at least cause a little bit more tension in there, that's for sure. Maybe a little less if there were 2 daughters. Again, hard to say. Vulcan, what if humans had transformations like Super Saiyan, Hyperhuman? Well, there is Kaio Henshin that Sophie did come up with on her channel.
And I seriously need to get out of my funk and get back to making videos. It's been a year and I feel really bad about it. But you can always check out my videos on Kaio Henshin, which, yes, will eventually be sort of becoming the transformation analog for Super Saiyans over on my channel. And I do know that other what-ifers around YouTube have played around with the hyperhuman concept, so you might check out their stuff as well. But honestly, I think if humans had a hyperhuman concept, it'd be a little bit tricky, because if it was some sort of natural thing, right, similar to Super Saiyan, I think it kind of diminishes both the Super Saiyan and the hyperhuman transformation, by virtue of simply being, you know, something that anybody can achieve if they push to that point, you know, because it's in the genes, you know.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I really wanted to not go the hyperhuman sort of route with Kaioshin was because I wanted to make it an actual technique that they developed, right? I wanted to make it more like the martial arts stuff that they did back in OG Dragon Ball, where they played around with the techniques that they had available to them, you know, where it was something brought about by ingenuity, not by happenstance. Because, you know, Goku ultimately becomes Super Saiyan by chance. Vegeta ultimately becomes Super Saiyan by chance. And while they're able to replicate the scenarios that caused that, it's still a situation where it really heavily depends on like your current power level and your genes. I wanted Kaioshin to be something like, we are going to actively take these techniques and we're going to strive to find a method to combine them so that other people can make use of them, and it will be like available to everybody, you know. And the humans wind up using it more because obviously for like the Saiyans, it's easier to just go Super Saiyan, you know, and they later get more transformations, etc. But I wanted it to make it something that they have to really earn.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. No, again, I think that's a really good concept. Definitely, it's something I do dig. All right, Patrick. What if Yamcha used the Dragon Balls to wish himself as powerful as possible before DBZ? How powerful would he get? 100 times, or maybe even 1,000 times as powerful? Well, it would have to be something that... Well, the trouble is, though, if he used the Dragon Balls, he could not get any stronger than Kami could reasonably permit. Because, again, it's within the power of the person who made the Dragon Balls. So, you would not... Yamcha would not get more stronger than Kami. And his power level is roughly about, what, like 150, maybe? So yeah, it might give Yamcha like a little bit of a boost, but not that much. Or even, it might not be even possible. You know, that's the thing. It's all to do with the... If this was on Namek, then maybe stronger, certainly. But on Earth, I don't think it would work, or it would be negligible. So unfortunately, yeah.
Because the power of the Dragon Balls is... It's obviously got some interesting ways that it can be manipulated, but it's ultimately limited to whoever, like, it's limited in scope based upon the power of whoever created it. So the Namekian Dragon Balls are obviously more powerful, can thus grant more powerful wishes, and same goes, the Earth Dragon Balls are on the lowest tier with regard to what we see as far as power of the Dragon Balls goes.
Yeah.
So if someone was to say, like, I want to wish myself more powerful, and it was going to be like a multiplier of some kind, right? I don't think you'd get much out of it apart from maybe like a 5 times boost, you know.
Right.
Something like that, you know. Or actually, let's make it a nice 7. You know, you're able to grant yourself a one-time multiplier of up to 7 times to represent the 7 Dragon Balls. You know.
Okay, I mean, if you want to make it definitely poetic, then maybe that could work.
Yeah.
Papa Roger said, if Chaozu put on the Redstone mask, would he become an ultimate life form like Cars? You know, since he's already a vampire. Well, if that were the case, then you get Ultimate Chaozu. So basically, it'd be like an Ultra Beast Chaozu. So you get that kind of thing, Ultimate Evolution. So you get Mega Chaozu. It's Mega Evolution. So you just have Chaozu being able to use Hyper Beam the entire time. But I feel like if Chaozu, you would get the Ultimate Life Form. Just this small diminutive thing with the power of a god. It would certainly be fun. Then Pop Archer again. What if Goten and Trunks were Glock and Azir, respectively? Oh man. Basically, King Cold and Frieza, they are reincarnated into the children of their greatest enemies. Like, it would certainly be very, very, it would certainly be pretty, like, meta. And then Paparazzi comes in again with Goten being Oreg, which is Gero. So Goten, if Goten were Oreg, then Gero basically, not only does he end up being the son of his greatest enemy, he then also looks like his greatest enemy. Like, Goten has this passion for science, and it's just something that is not, it just came out of nowhere for them. So they'd be like, Chi-Chi would be like, okay, my son will become a physicist? Alright. Okay, Paparazzi then again says, what if there was a Lego Dragon Ball movie? Would there be a game? Of course there would be. And basically, every time you would defeat your opponent, they would fall into, like, hundreds of different little bricks.
I think a Lego Dragon Ball movie would be a lot of fun because they could mess around with some of those crazier concepts, crazier like what-ifery and stuff like that than the actual show proper wants to get into. Like, they could have an arc in the movie where like it's up to the human characters to save the day, you know, instead of the Saiyans, because like they are the better master builders or something. Who knows? But you could think of all sorts of different scenarios where something silly like a Lego Dragon Ball movie would be crazy and fun.
Yeah, no, it would certainly be. You could have there would be a lot more. There'd be a lot more kind of chance to have a play around with that kind of stuff. Patrick, in What If Goku beat Roshi? Piccolo knows the Kaioken. Could this make him relevant in the later sagas? If Buu absorbs him, will Buu use the Kaioken? I feel like Buu, yeah, absorbing, but I don't think you need to know the Kaioken and the strain on the body. So I feel like, yeah, he'd try, but he probably wouldn't get the maximum output. But as I said, there is about Kaioken. I am doing a discussion video about Kaioken in a couple of weeks, and we do talk about Piccolo in that.
Ooh.
And it just shows, I will say briefly, Piccolo would be the best candidate for Kaioken. As in, like,
yes,
being able to push the limits. But
a straight up Kaioken would pretty much be very similar in concept to what he ultimately strives for in like OG Dragon Ball with his giant form, you know. It would be an increase of power that comes with an increase of pain. But his Namekian body would definitely handle it a lot better than a human body does.
Yeah. No, certainly. He'd be able to push the limits a bit more riskily and be able to come out the other end a bit more. Nerd King. Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. Yeah, we're doing well, thanks, Nerd King. My question is, what if Majin Gohan happened in Raditz turned good and not Nappa turned good? How would Ranch react to the existence of Majin Gohan and the crimes he would commit? Oh, gosh. Say if Majin Gohan, that did happen, Ranch's trauma would be immense. But I feel like Ranch would then try and press herself to be the one to try and snap Gohan out of it. But I feel like if they were able to get out of this in one piece, I feel like Gohan would be profusely apologizing to Ranch constantly. Like, think that nothing he did would be good enough to try and make her forgive her. Or forgive him. But I feel like that could be an interesting plot twist, at the very least. Paparazzi, what if Vegeta's pod fell through a time warp, so only Nappa arrived on Earth as expected, and Vegeta arrived around the time of the Android Saga? Well, I would have to play the sound for him, really. But as for Nappa, I feel like if it were just Nappa, Goku would arrive and then just, like, send Nappa packing. Or at least, yeah, Nappa wouldn't be able to find any way to get around because he couldn't move. So I feel like, ultimately, they wouldn't destroy... I think Goku wouldn't destroy Nappa, but at least maybe just, like, get him to, like, a chance to leave the planet if he could. Or at least not attack anyone anymore. Like, you know... Seems like, oh, your master abandoned you or something. But then again, Nappa wouldn't wait 3 hours because Vegeta was the only reason he stuck around for 3 hours to wait for Goku. So you could play the sound for Earth. So Goku would arrive too late and everyone would be dead. So there you go. That's them. And
you kind of have to ask yourself, why put Vegeta in the Android Saga? Because Vegeta at Saiyan Saga, Saiyan Saga Vegeta... He's convinced of his own evil, and he only has a power level of 18,000. So I mean, he's not gonna be super useful in the Android Saga. And what's more is he's not gonna have much of a desire to really lend his assistance in any way.
No.
If Vegeta was going to wind up in any kind of alternate timeline and have it like be interesting, like narratively speaking, for the story, he has to be capable of actually making a difference. So you'd want him to land in some earlier portion. Like you'd want him to land in, like, have his pod crash during the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, or have his pod crash into, or have Vegeta's pod crash into Red Ribbon Army headquarters, or have his pod crash into Pilaf's castle, OG Dragon Ball stuff.
Yeah. Again, there are other avenues that could be explored, certainly. Andrei Vojtovich, what if all the Namekians fuse during the Frieza arc, and because of that, the Namekian Dragon Ball cease to exist? Well, I think you can defuse as Namekians. I think they have the ability to do that, because they were able to temporarily fuse together for Salnal and Pilina for the tournament. Or they could wish it back with the Dragon Balls or something like that. But if that would be enough, that would be enough to stop Frieza. Because the multiplier for all that stuff is ridiculous. If you had, like, all 100 Namekians fusing together, yeah, the Dragon Balls would be gone, but it means that Frieza couldn't use them. So they might be able to be strong enough to be able to hold Frieza back. So,
you basically have a scenario like in DB Multiverse, where you have a timeline that with Gast Carcoal, where Gast Carcoal is the entirety of the population of planet Namek fused into one being, but because it's a permanent fusion, right? Like the whole reason he competes in DB Multiverse is because he wants to separate himself back into the population of Namek. He wants to separate himself back into individual peoples, instead of just being this one super being that they fused into to defeat Frieza.
Yeah, certainly. Vulcan, what if Goku had a twin sister, or it's Ika? If Goku had a twin sister, you probably would just get the whole Raditz thing only with her instead. And what if Nappa had a son? I feel like, it'd be Vegeta Jr. And I feel like he would tease, like, if he and Cafe is too old to have kids, but if Nappa did have a son, he would just tease Vegeta. Hey, Vegeta, you know what I'm gonna call my little boy? Vegeta Jr.
If you name your son after me, Nappa, I will kill you.
That is a great insult. Name a super elite or mid-class tier monkey. Okay, Nasir Matthias. What if Piccolo fused with Guru on Namek, giving him access at all Guru's powers and a major power boost? Well, unfortunately, you would get a power boost, and Piccolo would be the dominant force, but the balls would then be inert. So you couldn't use the Namekian Dragon Balls to wish back anyone who, wish back people on Namek. So you'd have to do that after the wishes were made, or after most of the wishes were made. So it'd be very careful about when you did it. So that'd be the thing to take into consideration. Mango Tree. What if instead of Pilaf wishing Goku to be a kid again, he wished Goku to remain permanently gone, no wishing back on the Dragon Ball ever? So basically, it was enough to, like, incapacitate Goku. Well, as Haverock would say, you would have a much better GT with Goten having to do more work and get off that dang phone. So
get off that phone, stop dating those girls and acting like a creep.
Yeah, basically it'd be Goten's redemption arc into realizing, and you'd then have Gotenks. You could have Gotenks in Dragon Ball GT. So
people have been waiting for a canon teenage Gotenks for so long, and everyone thought, yes, Super will finally give it to us. It's like, nope, they're frozen in time. They still look like they're 8.
Alas, that is very much the case. Okay, Darth Samuel. What if Bulma and Chi-Chi had a fusion? What would the name be and personality be like? Alright, okay. It would be Bolchi or Chima. I kind of like Chima, actually.
Budachi.
Or a Chiruma. Chiruma is actually a good name.
Chiruma, yeah.
Chiruma. As in, like, because everyone loves Budachi. But, so Chiruma.
Well, that's because everybody expects Bulma to be the dominant personality.
Yeah. But let's just say maybe it's like an even mix. Or as Thunder goes on, Chilma. But okay, everyone knows about Bolshi, all of the lewd lemony stuff, But let's just...
it's almost exclusively used for that.
Let's take a look at it realistically. If that were the case, you'd have an incredibly intelligent human who would have that incredibly powerful set, that fiery temperament, probably decently strong for... Well, very strong for a human, for that isn't in the Dragon team. But you would definitely have a very, very calculating, very intelligent being who would have an adeptitude for martial arts in some way. Key attacks, not so much, but you would definitely have that interesting, fiery temperament with some good smarts as well. We're trying to be very analytical here, instead of going for... and Sayori Lasso going, I'm a collar underwear milk.
Oh my god, Sayori.
Oh. Oh, man. Underwear milk. Oh, jeez. Moving on. All right.
Oh my god.
Nasir, what if Kami hatched a Kami Jr. egg when Piccolo Jr. was born? However, Korin gave him a senzu bean so Kami can live. Okay, so basically if Kami had a son as well, there'd be that nice little parallel, and I feel like instead of Kami going down to Earth, he would send his son down instead, so you'd have Kami Jr. So basically, you'd have that feeling of like, Kami would feel like he was not breaking the rules of not interfering with the likes of humans. So he would send his son down to try and like compare the two.
So you're saying that in order to save the human race, Kami would send to them his only begotten son?
Yes.
He's Jesus. That's what I'm getting at most.
Sorta.
Because I mean, Kami is God, and if he sends his son down to Earth to save humanity because he himself cannot, his son becomes literally Namekian Jesus.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh my god. Oh my Gami Kai. Yes, Red Dragon. I talked about it.
Begotten son.
Oh.
Namekian Jesus.
The Kami Jr. and the Holy Popo. Oh man. Oh jeez. Okay. Moving on. Alright. Okay, Patrick. We will see Super Saiyan 4 in other what ifs without Blutz waves, e.g. Vegeta and Gohan still have tails in what if Gohan 2's Super Saiyan early. And when will that what if return? Well, hopefully maybe in September or October time, you can expect that. Super Saiyan 4, too early to say. We're too early into that what if to see that happen. But I do want to use Super Saiyan 4 in other ways. So I do have that idea, but I haven't come across that yet, Patrick. Paparacha? As in, I meant Yajirobe, not Yamcha swap with Raditz. Oh. So if Yajirobe was like Raditz, so it'd be like the most apathetic Saiyan ever. So basically, it's like,
oh my god.
Well, Kakarot, I guess you're my brother, but you know what? If you don't want to come with me, that's whatever. I don't care. You got any food? He's like,
Yajirobe, I need you to go to planet Earth and get your brother. Yeah, I guess I'll do it later.
Yeah, all right. Does it mean it's like question?
And then he takes off from the planet. It's like question. I can get there when I get there.
Yeah, that's a question. Is this a Freezer thing or your kind of thing? It's a guess it's me kind of thing. All right, cool. See you later. And it's just like, and you gonna go back to your master? You kidding me? No, I'm gonna split later. It's like,
I've been waiting for an excuse to ditch those guys for years.
Now he goes like, he's like, hey Kakarot, you actually gonna come with me and actually fight with the Vegeta and stuff, whatever? No, why would I leave? Oh well, I tried. Can't say I didn't try. Well, I fulfilled my obligation. See you later. He's got. Well,
Can't say I didn't try.
It's like, and then Goku says we have some kind of good food. Food, you say? Well, I guess stay around here for a little bit. Doesn't mean I like you. Alright, Wyatt Faye. What if the twins were born first? As in, like, Daikon and Muli. If Daikon and Muli were born first, I don't know, really. I guess it would just be that whole, like, parallel. And I feel like Raditz would try and put them together and stuff. But then he'd be like realizing, you know what? I'm stronger with the fact that they both exist at the same time. It'd be like that kind of like wholesome moment.
You'd basically have the makings of a gang between Trunks, Goten, and Daikon and Muli, if Daikon and Muli were born before Raj.
Yeah, sorta. Sort of actually.
If you practically have an entire gang's worth of shonen characters right there. Like you could probably do like a middle school shonen storyline just between the four of them.
Yeah, you could actually. That's a good point. Okay, next one is from Blake Diamond. What if Cooler was always good? I.e., he was exiled from the Cole family for being too soft and ended up wandering the galaxy until arriving on Earth at the start of the 5-year time skip between Dragon Ball and Z. Well, that's the thing. I do feel like that Cooler was like that. He was like exiled for the fact that the Cold, in my mind, would actually think that he was very, that he was too similar. That King Cold would think, well, why have I made a son that's basically the same as me? I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. And would say, look, you're too conservative, you're too cautious, you're too much like me. So you need to make someone a bit more nefarious. But, oh, hey, cool, Haverock has been here saying, sending warm wishes. I see you two have everything covered. I'm kind of away from civilization, but wanted to say hi. Hey,
Hav.
Hope you're doing well. I hope to see you on
Miss you. Hope you're doing well.
Hope to see you on the next stream. But anyway, so I feel like if he did end up on there, then I'm afraid I'd have to play the sound. Anyway, Frightful Form, I've got one for you. What if Frieza won against Goku on Namek? Well, playing the sound again. Frieza would then be impressed that somebody would be that close to beating him, and then he would set course for Earth and destroy everyone else. And then nobody would be able to stop him.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much.
That's like, end of Dragon Ball. Yeah. Unfortunately. Alright, okay. Heartless Fang. What if Dende had to be tested by past Guardians before becoming one? What if it was a big event with other participants? Oh, I'm pretty sure that Mr. Popo would have to have some kind of test for him.
Kind of like a sort of troll hunter scenario where you kind of have to go into the spirit world and face all of the previous Guardians, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like
it'd be interesting.
Yeah. I feel like it would be something that they sort of have to like do as a formality, but Goku picked Dende essentially to become the next Guardian. So I think Popo would trust Goku's judgment, but as a sake of formality, it would then be the case of them having to do the test. But I think Dende would pass it, no problem. Okay, next one is Gobi. What if Goku's Saiyan name was a variation of an ancestor's name? Like if the name Kakarot was derived from carrot or Karot. I feel like it'd be a nice little connection, finding out how far the Saiyan's family line goes, like a Saiyan family tree. Like it kind of like it gets like different variations of the same vegetable pun. Again, it'd be a nice little thing, kind of extending the Saiyan heritage back a little more. Genealogy for Saiyans. That'd be neat. Boyd Maud, what if Goku learned Force Spirit Vision on Namek? Well, if he did, then it wouldn't really work. It wouldn't really work on anyone, like, except Piccolo, after he fused with Nail. But why would Goku fight Piccolo? Only, like, but in terms of Frieza, it wouldn't really work, because Frieza's not absorbed anybody, is not fused with anybody.
If Goku learned Force Spirit Fission, the one time it might come in handy would probably be in the fight against Cell.
Yes, it would become useful against Cell, because like Goku would fight against, he would let Cell become perfect, of course, and then fight against Cell, and every time that he would hit Cell would get weaker, and it would get to that point where basically he'd be this thing, he'd get weaker and weaker and weaker, and then like 17 and 18 would fall out of him, and it'd be like no matter what you did, he would not be able to like face against Goku. So again, it would just be something like that. Yeah. So.
Well, and there is a little bit of a problem there because I mean, if you have Goku learn Force Spirit Fission and then he uses it on Cell, it kind of robs Gohan of his big moment.
Exactly.
You know?
That's the thing. I was gonna say that it just kind of lowers the stakes even more. And why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Oh yeah, Yash Begori. Hey guys, what if Oob and Broly became candidates of destruction after the end of the Z time skip? Maybe Beerus might be defeated finally and is looking for a successor, and Goku and Vegeta recommend Oob and Broly. Thanks.
Oof. I don't know, man, because I think both Oob and Broly are just they're too good, you know. I don't think they'd be down with the concept of being destructive god archetypes, you know, even if it is like a necessary thing.
Yeah, even Vegeta is against it.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd feel like the people who would most qualify, like I could see Tien maybe qualifying due to sense of duty. I could see Vegeta qualifying. Let's see. I could even maybe see Piccolo qualifying. But I really can't wrap my head around Oob or Broly. They're just too they're sweet boys, and I don't think that I don't think it would work out, you know, with them as far as God of Destruction training or grooming them for being GODs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just like that. Unfortunately, and especially for the fact that Oob is just too young, it wouldn't really make much sense.
I'm kind of a little sick. Okay, hashtag TN for God. I'm kind of into the TN for God idea.
It's not a bad idea at all. Oraculus, thank you very much for your super chats. And OC's here. Hey OC. First off, hi. Secondly, I'm curious. What if Piccolo defused with Nail after the Cell games? He keeps Kami because Dende is the new Guardian. Well, if there was a way for them to defuse, I feel like, first off, I don't know why Piccolo would defuse with Nail. Because at that point, really, I imagine probably after all those years of fusing together, I feel like that their personalities have become too meshed together. So I feel like there'd be that separation, like withdrawal, and there'd be a massive hole in Piccolo's consciousness. And it would also, like, I don't know, but if they did, then Nail probably would have gotten some residual strength increase, but he would want to return to Namek and become like to become its guardian again, like in the replace of to help with Elder Mori. So you would have a weaker Piccolo, who would then have to fuse with somebody else or strengthen up himself. But it would just make Piccolo even more irrelevant. Really, there'd be a massive power drain because in terms of strength, Nail was a big contributor. Like Kami's contribution was about just being perfect sync and maximizing efficiency. So with Nail gone, you'd have Piccolo, that's it for him being relevant in terms of power, unfortunately. So, you know, that's what you got to deal with, alas. Okay. Nate TMI, you have, what if Boo never escaped the time chamber, and there is no time chamber or rebuilding it with free Boo? Well, okay, you get rid of Boo, but then you'd have no time chamber, and it means that in the Universe 6 tournament, Piccolo and Vegeta would have Goku and Vegeta wouldn't have a chance to get stronger for the tournament, and it might mean that they make their situation, Goku wouldn't win against Hit, Universe 7 would lose the tournament. So, not necessarily playing the sound, but it would certainly make things a little bit different with the Dragon team having a new God dude in Champa. So, yeah, not good for Beerus. Darren Hardy, what if the Tuffles originally made Frieza's race? I could see that happening. Like, mutating, trying to play God. You know,
it would also kind of explain why we see so few of them. Like, perhaps it's a sort of situation where they are artificially created in some sense, and so they don't actually reproduce. Maybe they don't reproduce sexually. Maybe they don't have a natural reproductive method because they're artificially created beings.
Right. No, that makes sense. Poda says, what if to compete with the Hub, Google gave YouTube an NSFW section. Would you finally get to write the lemons you've been dying for? Yes. Yes.
Yes, I think Moss would. He wouldn't pass that up.
Well, don't worry, it would be totally tasteful. Like stuff that would be emotionally attuned and not like hardcore or anything like that. It has to be
good, you know. It has to still have standards.
Wholesome, but also it'd be like, you know, it'd be like enough to go like, "Aw, ooh."
Sexy but wholesome.
Sexy but wholesome. Wholesomely sexy. Alright, our text. Hey guys, what if Goten and Marin have children? How Android 18 Krillin would there be reaction? And could Android 18 allow Goten to marry Marin? I don't see why not. Goten's a good boy. You know, and Krillin I do think
that of either of the parents, I think Krillin would be the most. Even though Krillin's definitely got that soft spot, you know, I can totally imagine Marin being a daddy's girl as she grows up a little bit, and Krillin being protective. I think Krillin would definitely be the parent who'd be like, "Come on, it's Goku's kid. What's the harm?" And then 18 would be the one like constantly testing Goten to see whether or not he's worthy, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It would certainly be that one of those things where he just have to like, you know, Krillin would be pretty much down for it. Okay, Vulcan. In Hercule's What If Gohan became the best student of the Satan Dojo and Hercule trains Sharpner and Rasa? Well, Gohan would easily be the Satan Dojo leader or the best student, but in terms of Sharpner, maybe it might actually put him in his place, seeing Gohan in his like native environment. And Irasa, I don't see why she would be trained, but
make it more of a high school oriented martial arts anime, like again Kenichi or something like that.
Yep. So basically, it would be enough for Gohan to show Sharpner what he's capable of, get him to shut up. And then the other one is, what if Yamoshi was the ancestor of Bardock? Again, Bardock was just a low-class warrior who just happened to be freakishly strong. That was it. Like, maybe that could be the thing, but it would just make Goku's story less special in a way. Because Goku's story of just him being genuinely a weakling Saiyan who then had the potential to basically rule all. So, it would just...
Besides... we already know, like, previous iterations of previous sagas in Dragon Ball already have, like, you got to remember that the Saiyan culture seems to have been heavily based on this eugenics mentality, this genealogical mentality of it's all in the blood, right? Yeah. And Vegeta outright says, like, as a member of the royal line, he can trace his genealogy back to the original Super Saiyan. So the one who is the most likely to be descended from, like, Yamoshi or someone similar, you know, like the Super Saiyan God or the legendary Super Saiyan or whoever it is likely to be Vegeta, because they kept a strict, like, they kept strict detailed files on the genealogical background of these of the members of the Saiyan race, because it was what their entire race was built on, this classism based upon genetics. And so for Bardock to just be some low class rando who happens to nonetheless be descended from Yamoshi really doesn't make any kind of sense when it comes to Saiyan culture or history. And it does diminish the story narratively for Goku being this low-class warrior who nevertheless reignites, you know, the spark that creates the flame of Super Saiyan. You know, he's the one who finds it, who brings it back into the universe again, and it's like, it's meaningful when Goku does it because he's low class.
It just shows that whole hierarchy thing is wrong. So it just like their folly. Alright, Marcellus Thomas, what if instead of summoning Shenron, the Dragon Balls became portals to Namek? You must defeat 7 Namekian champions to get a wish. No! Kick their buttocks.
I mean, that means every time they use the Dragon Balls, there'd be a tournament arc.
Yes. And it would get old very fast. And it's like, oh, Shenron then basically becomes Ramona Flowers. He's like, hey guys, before you can actually be able to use a wish on me, you must defeat my 7 deadly Namekian exes. Yes, and they're all vegan. Technically. Super vegans.
You said seven Namekian exes, and it just reminded me of how everybody wants like Piccolo to have a girlfriend for some reason, and so now I'm thinking, okay, there's your quote unquote like female Namekians, the guardians of the Dragon Balls.
Oh yeah. Oh, Blake Diamond. What if Mama 21 from Fighters was canon? Ah, well, you might be able to see what we do in a future episode of R&R. Just watch this space, Blake. Watch this space. All right, Matrix Black. I don't know if this would influence much, but what if Gohan and Goten were twins? It would change a lot because Trunks would not have really a friend, like a foil to bounce off of. And there'd be that kind of like thing. Gohan would end up becoming like the bookworm, and then Goten would be the one that would train with Goku. Like there'd be that clear potential that Chi-Chi was seeing in Gohan, and then Goten would be the one that's more attuned with Goku. So I feel like in a way it might make things more harmonious in a way, just to mean that there's not that much tension, I would say. Aurigulus, member thing, cool. Red Dragon Force 2. What if Dr. Breeze had a brother named Yamatori? Oh, Yamatori. Now,
Toriyama.
Oh, Toriyama. Oh, okay. Oh, Dr. Breeze has a brother who basically is a layabout. He is the smart guy who basically does no work, yet somehow gets all of the tenure in all of the colleges around the world. So he would just be like,
all he did was create one robot and Toribot, and everybody's praising him for it.
Yeah, basically he made this one robot like years ago, and people still buy it. Like he's just coasting. It's like, well, I don't really see what the point of it is. He just keeps coasting on this one thing. He's not an innovator. That's one thing for sure. All right, Nate TMI. What if Captain Ginyu took a body after he was a frog on Earth? What if Ginyu was smarter, had more of a plan after Namek? Okay, so basically if Ginyu was able to find a body on Earth, he would probably try and find his way of ingratiating himself into the Dragon Team in some way. Like, probably like as a Capsule Corp employee, getting close to Bulma, befriending Bulma. And then... You
know how they had that super arc, that filler arc, everybody calls it a filler arc, but they had that arc in Super that had that actor
Barry Kahn
in the the Barry Kahn thing, but it was totally hijacked by this like totally dumb out of nowhere alien thing. How about instead of having Ginyu show up during Frieza's invasion of Earth and stuff like that, and swiping a body from the Frieza force and then being defeated really quickly? Why not make that into Ginyu's arc? Like, that's the body swap thing, is like he swaps bodies into someone like Barry Kahn or something like that because he's playing a long game, trying to get close enough to people like Gohan or Gohan's loved ones or other members of the Z Fighters in order to take his vengeance, Then at least you have the villain as someone who's a recognizable character with a pre-established body swapping ability.
Yeah. No, I get you there. I get you. Okay, Papa Poto, what if Zamasu was an alpha male gamer? Well, to be honest, he kind of already is. Like, having this strong sense of justice, he'd be basically saying, you're breaking the game's rules! I know the game inside and out! Like, basically calling hacks.
He's gonna be a streamer on GodTube playing Fortnite.
Oh, I could definitely see that happening.
or Counter-Strike Go.
Yeah. Oh. Red Dragon. What if Chi-Chi joined Goku with Shenron at the end of GT? Oh gosh. So basically Chi-Chi was... basically Goku asked Chi-Chi to come with him. And they basically just got absorbed, and they spent the immortal. Oh wow, that actually be really poetic. Like Chi-Chi and Goku would remain forever together. Like, you know, they would grow old together or become immortal, part of the Dragon Balls. Like, it'd be poetic, sure. Chi-Chi initially would think, oh great, I get to stay young forever, but then be away from. It'd be like this interesting kind of like thing.
I think that from a narrative perspective, right? I feel like from a narrative perspective, that sort of ending would be better in a scenario where Goku and Bulma got married, because then you'd wind up having the beginning bookend or the end. You'd have bookends, because everything starts with Goku and Bulma meeting each other, and everything would end with Goku and Bulma traveling, you know, leaving to go, you know, be with each other for the rest of eternity in the Dragon universe or wherever it is that they go at the end of GT. You know,
right.
I do think it's definitely a more appealing kind of ending to have that sort of like, Goku and his loved one, you know, they fly off into the sunset sort of situation. But I do think that thematically it would work better in a scenario where Bulma was with Goku and not Chi-Chi.
Right. Okay. No, that's a fair point, actually. Yeah, that's good. Science Magic Studios. Let's just make sure that's the right one. Yeah. What if Goku continued to get so powerful that he becomes bored with everyone, even the Hakaishin and Angels, basically becoming a bad guy, threatening planets so they don't find him at the best? Honestly, that is the worst thing that could happen to Goku, that he does get bored, so he tries to cause trouble to try and get people to get stronger and fight him. Yeah, as in, like, you know, the most dangerous thing is a bored mind. Somebody who's bored, that's the most dangerous thing. So, you know, having Goku there, being bored, he could easily cause trouble, because he was bored. The Tournament of Power was reminded by Goku. Like, yeah, I know that the GP and Zeno, they were planning to do it anyway, but they weren't planning to do it anytime soon, and then Goku reminded them. So, you know, that's what happens when Goku's bored. It does cause trouble. So, definitely, Science Magic, it could easily happen. Brendan, small what affinity question. How would R&R and Gine Raditz react to learning that their counterpart will end up falling to Turtle School Hercule? Would their Vegetas ever let them live it down? Vegetas, no. They would find that ultimately hilarious. Gine's Raditz in terms of the Turtle School Hercule. I feel like Raditz, like R&R's Raditz would try and take it on the chin, but internally would be absolutely mortified. You try and I let him win. I let him win. I'm being a good sport, being a good example for my children. And then, but Gine's Raditz would just like go off the handle. Would just be, I'd say, you know what? I'm getting out of here. Screw you guys. I'm going space home. It would just be like that. Red Dragon.
We get it. You're from space.
Yes. Red Dragon. What if the Z Fighters asked Shenron what he'd wish for? What, really? Whoa.
Nobody's ever asked me that before.
I don't know. Maybe like a little place by the beach. Maybe a chance to actually, you know, wish back my mom. I miss my mom.
You wind up with a scenario like Genie in Aladdin, where it's like you find out that the dragons are prisoners, so it's like, I'd wish for freedom.
Oh, you know, that's the end of Dragon Ball. Goku gives them their freedom.
Now that would be a pretty thematically appropriate ending. If Goku freed the dragons from their servitude, and thus the Dragon Balls were no more.
Yeah. Okay. Lord Explosion Murder. What if Vegeta was born later and had to be sent to Earth to protect him from Frieza? We'd have Dragon Ball Sai, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, if you guys haven't checked out Dragon Ball Sai, check it out, because that's all. I mean, that it's not quite the same, but I mean, for the most part, you may as well consider it the same thing, because you wind up with powerful Goku and Nappa coming to the planet where Vegeta did all of the things that Goku did, only better, because he had a higher power level at base as a child.
Yeah, exactly. Gobi, what if Chi-Chi had been a cute and comical villainess and was still evil and married to Goku with the latter not really minding? That'd be actually really cute. Like, you know, Chi-Chi is this villainess who is still like that cute girl, but is always trying to beat Goku, but losing every single time. And basically comes up with a plan to marry Goku, to try and get close to him, try and find his weakness, and then strike without him realizing it. But then gets too comfy in that scenario, and just kind of goes like, you know, Oxygen goes like, well, Chi-Chi, my dear, when is your plan to try and end Goku? It's like,
oh, you know, I'll get to it eventually. Things are really kind of comfy. I don't know. The moment will come to me.
Like, just like that moment. Just, I can imagine that happening.
It's like a child-friendly yandere.
Yeah, sort of, yeah.
Not quite tsundere. I wouldn't necessarily say cute and comical villainess, but well, I mean, I guess that kind of works. But like, yeah, like the idea of her being a villainess who's trying to one up Goku, but also winds up like wanting to win him over.
Oh, Gobi.
I like that.
Gobi says maybe kudere. Oh, kudere. Oh, that's actually one of my favorites.
Ooh, kudere. Yeah.
Yeah, just the ones that, you know, like Sakaki-san from Azumangadayo. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Sakaki-san, who's completely stoic but has a love for cats. But cats hate her.
Who wants to pet the kitty so bad, but they always bite her hand.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorite types, actually.
I love those types, actually.
Yeah.
Oh man, one of my favorites was Yakumo from School Rumble.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she's great. Oh yeah. Back when I used to really binge the rom-com, the high school rom-com anime, School Rumble was my jam, and I got really upset by how it ended. Because if I had to choose between the kudere Yakumo and the tsundere Eri, who was the more popular choice for the main character, Hari Makenji, I definitely didn't want Eri to win, and that was kind of like the direction that the author wound up going in the end. Anyway, sorry, that was a big tangent.
No. That's fine. That's again.
I love rom-com scenarios. I love high school rom-com scenarios.
No worries. It's because nowadays we're much older, and we can look back at them and look at it as, oh man, they're so simple. They're so simple, but they're so cute and quaint.
Yes.
Combin Spark. I will respect and understand what is said here, but what happens to the what if series? What if Krillin had a power up? I think this one's for you, Soph.
Yeah.
I think
the
we
what
covered
if
it
series
slightly earlier, to be fair.
Yeah, we kind of covered it a bit earlier. It's mostly just that I've been in a very I've been in a deep emotional slump due to personal reasons, work, and all this other stuff, and it's really hampered my motivation and creativity. I know it's been almost a year since I've put out a new episode of the series. I do intend to get back to it. It's just been really hard. I have a lot of baggage that I'm really trying to work through in order to get back onto the creative process. Honestly, like being able to come here, you know, almost every week, you know, when something doesn't come up that prevents me from doing it, really helps me to kind of like keep my head above water, so to speak. It's one of the highlights of my life at the moment, but it's mostly just been that I've had a lot of personal issues, and I am trying to regain the motivation and find that creative spark again to overcome my block and everything and get back to work.
Yeah, of course, and we're all here for you every step of the way.
Thanks.
But it will come. It'll all be worth it. Andres Morel, what if the DB Mermaid's Tuffle descendants cultivated an anti-tree of might? Upside down and everything. Oh, so basically it's like a trick fruit? So it's like a temptation type of sort of thing. So you try and eat it, and it's all these legendary that'll make you stronger. But basically it gives you that moment where it makes you even weaker than you actually are. So it's like it's a trick fruit. That'd be kind of cute.
Mm.
So there'd be that moment where you kind of just have that thing of like, oh, okay. So just have that moment of a bit of a twist. Okay. Vulcan. What if Goku landed in Suno's village? Well, certainly a bit more adapted to the cold, that's for sure. And again, Suno and Goku would probably be friends, really. And, Muscle Tower and the Red Ribbon Army probably a bit more exposed to Goku earlier in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Paparacha, say what you want about GT. Goten's personality, but at least he has a personality. That is true. That is very fair.
Well,
it's not.
That's
one,
very fair.
There is one at least. So I will give you that.
At least he has one. I still gotta say though, of all of the children, like, do you really think that Goten would be the type to wind up that way? Do you really think he'd be the type to be creepily eyeballing his date as she licks an ice cream cone? And I mean, come on. Yes, it does give him a personality.
It's not the best one.
But it's not a good one.
It could be better, let's just say. And speaking of this, a literal stick, okay, asks what if Jiren had an actual personality? Well, you can either read the manga, where he actually does have one of sorts, or you can check out my story, my what if Jiren had a good backstory. Then you can check out that one. Yeah, that's definitely
check it out.
Andres Morero, what if Bulma was the protagonist, not Goku? Ooh, okay. Well, it would certainly be much more humanistic, as in, like, Goku's just this one guy, who helps Bulma out. But you just see everything from Bulma's perspective, and it would be so much more like a slice of life series. Like,
it'd be a lot more like the actual Journey to the West in that regard.
Yeah. No, certainly. It would be much more like, it would have a lot more connections to the, mythical side, as it were. So. Yeah,
because I mean, at that point, it becomes if you make Bulma the main character, you have to make the narrative fit that scenario.
Yeah.
So, like, Bulma's not a fighter, so you have to make the scenarios fit into what she's capable of dealing with within certain limitations. And since Goku in this case would be taking the same sort of role that, like, Sun Wukong does in Journey to the West, as sort of like the muscle, the sidekick, trickster sidekick sort of character. He's able to help, but as a sidekick character, he can't be the focal point of everything. So there's a lot of points in Dragon Ball, even OG Dragon Ball, where Bulma gets put out of the narrative pretty much entirely, or just is used as a plot device.
Yeah.
So you'd have to rewrite a bunch of those scenarios, definitely. I mean, it would be interesting, and it would probably have more, like, thematic leanings towards the original, like, Journey to the West-esque concepts that Toriyama really had when he was coming up with the idea. But I think it would ultimately turn out to be a very different story in that regard as well.
Yeah, no, it would certainly change things a lot. Yeah. Okay. Axel Jade, what if Goku and Vegeta were born in Universe 6, and if Kale, Khalifa, and Cabba were born in Universe 7? Well, Goku and Vegeta will probably be in the Saiyan police, like Vegeta being the bad cop, Goku the good cop, potentially. Because they'd show potential, and with the Universe 6 people being more benevolent, even with Goku's potential, his power being weaker, his plucky attitude would still be, commended, and, be seen like that. With Kale, Khalifa, and Cabba, they probably would blend into the background more, because their powers aren't that high. But I imagine the attitude of Khalifa would definitely make her a formidable Saiyan. Like, certainly. And with Kale, probably with her meek attitude, she'd have that same thing with Broly. Like, that strong power, but nobody would really want to be friends with her. Because, again, power, but the mood and temperament is an un-Saiyan. So it's all to do with horses for courses and where they are based, as it were. But yeah. And Paparacha rounds things off with a super chat. And with that, we are done for today. Thank you all so much for all of your contributions. And we are now done with everything like that. I would like to thank Sophie for your time here. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
And we thank you all for your time here. And once again, I hope you're all staying safe out there. The next live stream for the roundtable will be on Thursday. No, actually, I think it'll be Friday. So it'll be on Friday. I'll make sure to put that on the schedule for next week. And the next What If to come out, hopefully, will be What If Goku Was Female Part 12. And we have a final design for Celine. So we'll definitely look forward to that.
I'm eager to see it. I'm so eager to see it.
And don't worry, I still remember Stud Muffin.
Yes, good. I'd been forgetting to remind you, but yeah,
I remember
Stud Muffin, remember.
Yeah. Okay. With that, everybody, hope you're all having a good day. Stay safe and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.